what would you say, Matt, is the hardest, like the theme of what has been the most difficult part of your career that you've had to face and endure?
You know what? That was a perfect way to summarize it. My career, it sounds cliche, but has been a roller coaster ride. A lot of highs, a lot of lows. And, there's been plenty of times where I've been counted out by, the quote unquote office, by the fans, even myself. Sometimes I never thought I'd recover. But I just love this business too damn much to quit. And it's not over until I quit. There's plenty of times where, like I said, the office thought he'll never come back from this. The fans thought he'll never come back from this. Even me, I thought, I don't know if I can ever bounce back, but I just don't quit. I could, so many times in my career, and that's kind of the Matt Cardona story, whether it be the Zack Ryder story into the Matt Cardona story. There's so many times where you thought I was dead. I feel like I'm the cockroach of pro wrestling. You just can't get rid of me.
It's really wild, man, because it's like you do something that just, I'll go as far as to say this: you're such a trendsetter that you're so far ahead of the curve. You dictate which way it goes by what you say and do, and to be able to call your own shots and do that, and from where you started, I was fortunate enough to be witness to some of the more, when Deep South closed down and you and Brett arrived in Brian rather arrived in OVW. Not the easiest time, right?
Mm-mm.
Not the easiest time for you guys, and you've been open.
It's
about
like one of the
that,
worst
right?
times of my life and career.
Well,
just to go back to that for a second, because
yeah,
we're at
please.
Deep South for a year, and Deep South closes, and they send a few of us to OVW. The rest of the people, they're going to start this new thing in Tampa, FCW, which becomes NXT, years later. So I think it's myself, Brian Myers, Jesse and Festus, Brad J, and like Angel Williams. That's it. Go to OVW. But in that week that we're moving, we get called up to the main roster. So we're on ECW, and now we're like, we have to go to developmental still? Like, what the fuck? And I'll never forget the first day. We were so hungry, right? So we do, ECW was taped before SmackDown or after SmackDown on a Tuesday. And then we drove to Louisville because that's when they were taping OVWs on Wednesdays. Yep. But we're making this drive. We're moving all our shit, a U-Haul stuff. So we don't get there at showtime. We're like, all right, we want to show initially. Let's just show up. So we get there when like the show is about to end. Back in the day, they go in the stands with the post-show speech.
The rah-rah.
And Mike Bucci, who was like the liaison between like developmental guys and the main roster, he happened to be there. I think he lived in Louisville at the time.
Yes.
And he was there. And I remember he gave us like an introduction that did nothing but put heat on us. Cody tells a story. Cody tells a story in a typical Cody Rhodes lie, but I'm going to repeat it his way because it just, that's how I remember it now because I've heard it Cody tell so many times. It's Mike Bucci saying something like, you may know them, but they don't know who the fuck you are. They debuted last night on WWE TV. Let's give a warm welcome to Brett and Brian, the Major Brothers. And then he like called us down. And it's awkward. And we do this like, this part's real. We do like the click hug, like the three-way hug.
Right, totally. With the office.
Instant heat with all the boys down in Louisville. Instant heat.
I mean, I don't know, man. You guys brought something like there was the love you guys had for the fandom of wrestling was something that was so foreign to me, Matt, because I was brought up by the Joey Matthewses and the Christian Yorks of the world. It was like, you don't take pictures with nobody, you don't like wrestling, you're not a mark, it was like, so I was scared of even like the last time I played a wrestling video game, I got yelled at when I was like 18. I was like, okay, I'm never doing this again. And here you guys come and like you made it okay to still be a fan. And there was some kickback it always reminds me of, like, you ever seen that movie, The 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Yes, of course.
You know, at the end where, like, the black dude and his wife are at the wedding. They're going, "How the hell did they pay for this wedding?"
Yeah.
He goes, "They sold the toys." He goes, "We need to get some motherfucking toys."
Yeah.
That's what always reminds me of you, because you were right. Like, there was this untapped market out there of people that were kind of like, wrestling's already a guilty pleasure, but then it's like, you still play with the toys.
Right,
Holy
certainly.
shit.
So, like, around like our peers, we were fine sharing it, letting people in. But, like, for instance, the next weekend we're on the main roster. If I'm going to Target, I'm not telling JBL that I just got his figure. You know what I'm saying? They would have shit in my bag, kicked me out of the locker room. But I don't blame those guys, because they grew up in a different era. They grew up in the business in a different era. They literally could not relate to chasing the ice cream man for the wrestling ice cream bars, or like running down those Toys R Us shelves for the new. That's not how they grew up,
Right.
So Brian and I were like the first of a generation. Now it's so accepted. Now, like, it's normal to take pictures in the locker, which is fine. It's normal to like if I ever wore like Shawn Michaels tribute gear while I was in WWE, oh my God. No way. But now it's embraced. Johnny Gargano's taking pictures with Shawn Michaels. And I'm not saying one's right and one's wrong. Just the business has changed. The business has evolved. And now it's all these fans growing up. I think we just got into the business. I'm not saying we got in too early, but we were like the first of our generation who grew up loving it.
Yeah. I think anybody who changes things takes their lumps, right?
Yeah.
So, you're gonna hit that friction. And it was of course, coming from like that man's man, the last outlaw kind of generation of riding down the highway and shooting the road signs, to
Right.
trying to see which Walmarts have the latest figures. It's quite the dichotomy, but it's cool, it's real, it's different. It was coming from a genuine place, man. And at the end of the day, like, the things you went through to be successful, the stop start. Do you ever feel like you don't get enough credit for instance, you were the first to start the YouTube show with Z Long Island, true Long Island story, rolls right off the tongue, but
yeah.
but it was so innovative. Nobody was
Sure.
doing that. What do you feel you get the credit that you deserve for that,
Oh,
or
man.
earned?
Yes and no. I think like maybe eventually it will come, but I didn't do it to get credit. I did it to get over. I did it to survive. I did it to change my spot in the card. I did it to, because I knew I had more to offer. And at the time, this is 2011. I'd been on the main roster for like 4 years, which is really nothing, but at the time seems like eternity. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm stuck in this spot. It's the beginning of the year, whatever, January, February, 2011. I'm on TV, I'm on the roster, but I'm like already in the ring. I'm the guy getting squashed. I'm like, ugh, I got so much more to offer. I just knew that I did. And I had got a flip camera, which they don't make those anymore. So I might be dating myself here. I got one for Christmas the year before. I don't even know why I got one. I might have asked for one for my parents. I don't even know what the hell I was doing with it. So I'm going to start a YouTube show. And I wasn't the first person to do a YouTube show in wrestling, but I was the first person to do it on my own, because there was like WWE.com shows, like Miz and Morrison had a show, Santino had a show, but these guys, they showed up to work. They did the skits. Maybe it was written for them, maybe it wasn't. And then they went home. Someone else is editing it. Someone else putting it up. I did it all myself. I came up with it. I filmed it. I edited it. And then you watch them, like you can tell I edited it. It's bad. But that was the charm of the show. That's what won people over, because it was so authentic. Like you could tell I'm editing this thing on fucking iMovie and I don't know what I'm doing, but people related to that. And I didn't have this master plan when I started. I just knew that I needed to express myself in some way. I knew I needed to create some buzz. And I started doing things like incorporating my real life, like blending Zack Ryder and Matt Cardona, the human being, so fans could relate. Because how can you relate to the guy who's saying woo 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 and getting killed in 3 minutes? You can't.
Right.
There's no redeeming qualities about that guy. So I let people know, hey, I'm just like you. I'm a diehard wrestling fan, or I like Star Wars, or my girlfriend just broke up with me, or my dad's fucking annoying me.
Yeah.
And the more I put that out there, the more they wanted. And then like I started seeing signs, like Zack Ryder signs. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna put that on the show, like sign of the week. So it like enticed people to bring signs. And I did like broski of the week, like send a video in saying why you're the broski of the week. And then it was the fan participation. They just want to be involved. They want to be connected. And then, it snowballed. It did its job. I start the year as a nobody. I end the year as the U.S. champion, teaming with John Cena, the Rock's in the middle of the ring, Madison Garden, the chanting for me, stuff that I did not think about when I started the show. I just wanted to create a little buzz and get on television.